All right, so today will be broadcast live, but more than anything, that puts it on our MacNexus YouTube channel, and the meeting will be recorded. And let's see here. All right, so yes, it is. It's working. All right. So back to Zoom. Okay. So greetings, everyone, and happy 2 days after April Fool's Day. I know there were a couple pretty good ones around that I saw. Anybody have any ones that they thought were great? They can go ahead and put the link in the chat. So those of you on the Mac, chat's on the bottom. You click on that. Al's already put in some links, which is wonderful. Oh, and he did put the link to about Zoom help and things like that. And he'll be putting the links in today as I present things. But you can also chat on that. When I'm doing the presentation, it's hard for me to see the chat. So Al will help me and see if there's any questions, and feel free to interrupt Al as we go through. If you want to raise your hand, if you're on a Mac, it's down at the bottom under reactions. You click that and raise your hand. And then if you're on an iPad or an iOS, you tap the screen, and then there's a little 3 dots and ellipsis which says more under it, and you have a thing that says raise hand there. And you also have the chat on those devices. So other than that, it's about 9:10. We'll go ahead and get started. And actually, you know, it was 3 days ago, many years ago, that Apple was founded on April 1st, which I don't know which one of those yahoos decided that was it, but in fact, they did found Apple officially on April 1st. So anyway, before we get into this, I'm going to talk briefly about cloud today, because I want to make sure everybody's cloud settings are correct. That will do probably at the end, but I'm going to be talking about Siri and about dictation. And so if you have any questions that doesn't cover that stuff, this would be a great time. Ask some questions. We do a little Q&A here in the beginning, and you can raise your hand, or if you can unmute yourself and ask away, and we'll try see if we can get them answered for you. Anyone?
Okay, I've got one. You knew I would, Ken.
Well, and you always have good ones, so go right ahead.
Well, and I don't want the instructions on how to. I was just wondering, since my computer seems to be very kind of finicky and slow, is there a way to do a clean install with the apps to get rid of all the old stuff and then just bring back my data? Or is that too complicated?
Well, computer can be slow for many reasons. First and foremost, and one of the worst ones, is if your hard drive is getting too full. And is it? Okay. By the way you check that is you go up to the Apple logo, come down to about this Mac, and then click on storage. And if you have less than 20% still available, it will start to get slow, and it will really get slow if you have less than 10%. Other than that, other things that might be there is, they call it malware, but on a Mac, it's really adware. And there's a free program you can run called Malware Bytes. And I know Al will go ahead and put a link up to that. And you go through and just do the free ones as you walk through. You don't need to do a subscription to it or anything like that. So the other thing is, you know, having stuff in your hard drive does not slow your computer down unless it's too full. You are able to, though, when you say apps, reinstalling the apps is probably not going to do it unless it's just a certain app that's problematic. But you can, go ahead, Mary.
I was going to say, and I think there are some on mine, because it feels like some of the issues came over from the last one, and particularly The Sims. Is that Origin, I think? I
Oh,
don't,
games will always slow it down.
yeah, and
And when you quit the game, does it speed back up?
some, but it still becomes a problem, and I
Okay,
get lots of
I'm going to
bitches.
share my screen and show you guys how to check kind of what the computer is using. And let me share the screen here and share. So what I do is I go up to the magnifying glass and I hit that and just start typing activity, and their activity monitor comes up. It's in your utilities folder. And on this screen, you have, hang on. So on this screen, you have CPU. That's basically how much the processor is using. So when I go over here to the left under CPU percentage, it's usually sorted by what's using the most. As you can see, Zoom is using quite a bit. Windows Server is just in there in your system, and that's not that big a deal. But if you look down here in the center, it shows you how much load there is on the CPU. I'm on one of the new M1 Macs, so it's really not too bad at all. So you can look at, like if I was running that particular program, it would show me how much of the CPU it's using. Don't worry about time so much. But the next one is if we go over here to memory. Memory is the RAM in your computer. And the RAM is critical for different things. And you look down here where it says cached files and swap used. If you've got big numbers down there, what that means is you don't have enough RAM in your computer, and it's having to, instead of using RAM, which is the little chips in the memory chips in your computer, it's having to start using your hard drive. So that slows things down dramatically. And let's go back, and I don't have the picture of this, but we need to think of your computer as has three components. The three components in your computer is the CPU, which is this right here, the CPU, or central processing unit, which is the brain of the computer. The memory is the RAM. And then if we go up here to the Apple logo and come down and click on About This Mac, storage is the either hard drive or now their flash drive in solid state. And so the amount of space it's using is very critical. So knowing that we have three different things in our computer, by the way, here's the CPU. It'll be in your computer. They just say chip here, but yours will probably say Intel something or other. The way I like to equate how these things work is, let's pretend that you are writing you're writing a paper, and you have to go to the big library, let's say Sac State, and there's 30 books you're going to have to use to get your data. So you go in, well, your brain is your brain. There's nothing we can do about your brain. Yeah, you can drink a little caffeine or something to make it go a little faster, but the CPU or the brain is what you're stuck with. You go in there. You can't upgrade that on your computer. The only way you can get a new brain in your computer is to get a new computer. So you go in there with your brain. And remember, you're going to have to use 30 books to make this paper work. So you're going to have footnotes and all this. So if you go in there and there is a desk that's the size of an elementary school desk that only allows you to put 3 books out at a time, you're going to have to keep going back and forth to the stacks and getting the books, because you can only keep 3 books on there at a time. On the other hand, if you walk in and all of a sudden there's an 8-foot long table that you have to yourself, you'll be able to put all the books you want out there. And the beauty of that is you can spread out and work more efficiently. Well, the size of that table is what the RAM is on the computer. The RAM, when I go into memory here on the chart, it's saying Keynote is using 1.7 gigabytes. Mail is using 700 megabytes. These are all things on RAM, more or less. Think of it like those books that you have open. So, bless you. A game uses a tremendous amount of RAM because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's all these actions, there's all these different movies and things like that. So that can completely saturate your RAM. in essence like having a smaller table. So RAM will, the more RAM you have in your computer, which on most Macs is replaceable, will help with giving you more headroom, more room to operate. And the last one is, and the way I can equate storage, which is your disk, or in this case, your drive that's inside the computer. That is the library. And what is stored in the library are all the books. So we all know from card catalogs and everything else that books have certain places in the library where they need to go. So let's say the library all of a sudden gets 100 new books in. Well, they can't just stick all 100 on a shelf in one spot. They have to put them where they belong. So if the library shelves are very crowded and very full, if they have 3 more nonfiction books that they have to sort in certain spots, but the shelf is completely full, they might have to go down the shelf and move 3 or 4 or 5 different shelves to make room in the slot where those need to go. So that's what happens when your hard drive gets too full. Now, the hard drive getting too full will really slow it down, and it can cause some big issues, and it will slow your computer down. To me, it sounds like more it's the game itself, and it could be the age of your computer, and the CPU might not be fast enough to handle it either. Kind of like if you walk in there, our brain won't let us look at all 30 of those books at the same time. But if we had, let's say, a more core CPU and we had 6 people there, we'd have a better chance of gathering all that information. So that's how it works. I think that especially a game, when what you want to do is fire up Activity Monitor, see what load it's putting on the CPU. And then when you quit the game, see how much load it is on the CPU. And the other thing I'll point out is that many times programs, even Safari, even good Apple programs, have what's called a memory leak. So in other words, they won't release the memory and RAM once you've quit them. Chrome is one that does that dramatically. I will not run Chrome on any of my machines because of it. But when you quit it, it may not release everything. So many times you may have to restart your computer. And if you restart your computer after you've quit that game or any of the games you think are suspect, that could be it. Mary, do you have 2 users on your computer or just 1?
There's like 4 accounts.
So I think it's you have somebody come over and they play the game. You're not the one playing the game.
No, my daughter does.
Right. So does she have her own user?
Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing is, if it's running in her user, it could be using up all those cycles on your side. So the best thing to do is log her out of her user when she's not using it.
Well, and I appreciate all going through this because I'm hoping it helps other folks.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, this is not uncommon.
Yeah, and I've done the PRAM, reset the PRAM, and I run disk utilities sometimes, and it
again, you're gonna, if you use Activity Monitor, because it's like throwing darts at a dartboard that doesn't have a grid on it to know where to hit them, because you're not knowing what you're trying to hit here. So if you use this between CPU, memory, and you disk a little bit, it'll show you activity, but I wouldn't worry about that. But it's memory and CPU. CPU is the brain. That'll tell you how much of the processor that app is using, and memory will be how much RAM it's using. And you can continue to check that. And that's going to give you a good idea.
Well, thanks. I will check it out, because this is a 2012 computer. No.
Well, that's only 9 years old.
No, 2016. I'm sorry, the old one.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So
and is it a iMac?
Yes, and I would like to wait for the new ones that have the Apple chip in it before I replace it. But in the meantime, sometimes it takes a long time to start up and stuff. And my old computer, before it was too old, so that's why I don't know. I'm concerned that some of like the Canon camera apps and some of those old apps that always come over when you get a new computer might be a problem. And
If they're
so
not
that's why
running,
I
they're probably
asked
not,
about.
if they're not on and running, they're probably not doing anything to slow the computer down. Oh, Al found a good thing here.
Okay.
22 reasons why your Mac runs slower than it should. And I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure that's great. And he's got another one on an Apple guide on there too. So
Yeah.
good. Thanks for that, Al. All right. Any other questions? We have a hand raised.
Yeah,
I'll go to Bev. Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna share an experience I had. I have a Mac Mini that's maybe 2014, 2015, I think. And it got running really slow, and it had a hard drive in it. And my tech person replaced the hard drive and switched over all the data and everything to a solid state, and that perked it right up.
Oh, absolutely. A solid state drive. That's why all the Apples now come with solid state drives, or at least fusion drives. Solid state drives make all the difference in the world. When I did my MacBook Pro, before I put the solid state drive in, it took 1 minute and 38 seconds to fire up and launch. And after I did it, it launched in 13 seconds.
Yeah, and it never used to be that slow, and then it became, unbearably slow, and I started thinking, well, maybe I hadn't hit the key in the right manner, and so I end up getting, faulting it out that way. But yeah, so that might be a way to extend some life into.
Well, it's not as simple on that on some of the newer iMacs.
Yeah.
On portables, and hers is a 2016, so it may have a fusion drive in it, and it can be done, but the fact is that it's gotten a bit slower. And the other thing is, programs like Safari have gotten more and more complex, and websites are more and more complex. So there's many different issues, but yeah, a solid state drive by far makes a huge difference. So.
Well, thanks to all. And I've got a dog catastrophe that I have to check on, a puppy catastrophe.
Oh,
But
yeah,
thank
no
you.
problem.
Ken,
Yeah, go ahead, Royce.
this is Royce. We used to be able to take our selfies on our phone, but when we got the phone, the 12 Pro, we can't take selfies anymore. Is there any way to do it, or what happened?
Do you have your phone with you right there?
Yes.
Go ahead and into photos. Or camera, I'm sorry.
And the camera. Okay.
And in the lower right, isn't there a circle that's got arrows in it?
In the right.
The lower right corner. Are you on photo?
Yes. Yes.
Do you see the button right below photo?
Okay.
And to the right of that, there's a circle with. You see it?
Yes.
Let me show you my phone. Hang on.
I can see I can see the.
Look at the screen here. Do you see the button in the middle and then the circle with the arrows on the back? Look on the screen. Do you see the word pan? Look on the screen. No, not your screen. Look on this screen. Do you see the word pano?
No.
Oh, hang on. I'm not
Your
sharing
screen
my
isn't showing.
I'm not sharing my screen. My fault. Hang on. Well, actually on yours, under the word pano, do you see, hang on. Okay, now you can see the screen. Do you see the word pano on the monitor there?
Yes.
Do you have a button under there just like that? There it is, a selfie right there.
Okay, but if I'm holding it away from me, how do I take it?
Did you press that button?
Yes.
And is it now looking at you?
Yes.
Then you just press the button and it takes the photo. That's a selfie. No, it hasn't changed.
But we used to be able to put on a selfie stick and take a better picture. We can't.
Well, you have controllers for that. You can still do the selfie, but that has to do with the selfie stick and the controller and all that. You said you couldn't take a selfie. This is how you take a selfie.
No, I'm sorry. I can take a selfie, but we wanted to take it on a selfie stick.
So did your selfie stick have a little cord that goes in the headphone jack, or
Yeah.
was it Bluetooth?
No, it was you put it in the phone.
In the headphone jack.
Yes.
So you'd have to get the adapter for that. But the other thing is you can get a Bluetooth thing that you press the button to do that with. So that's a problem with your selfie stick, not a problem with your camera, with your phone. The other one, you plugged it into the headphone jack because if you use the volume up button, it takes a photo. That's how that works.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Oh, let's see here. Oh, Bert had something in chat. Let's see here. She thinks she has a possessed computer. In the middle of this discussion, my old photos on my Mac just popped up. Also, the bar shows just the old Pages logo, haunted computer. And then how do you put Safari as your default browser? So Chrome might be causing it. Chrome isn't causing that. That wouldn't cause that. But Bert, are you saying your dock is just different? Unmute yourself. Okay, well, we'll wait to see what Bert responds there. Anyone else? Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question. Oh, Bert, go ahead.
I'm back, Ken. I forgot I'm on the MacBook, not the iPad. The dock shows the old logo of Pages.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is your dock different than it was?
Yes, because it shows the old.
Okay. Do you have
Pages.
multiple users on that computer? Do you know? Do you have your name up in the upper right corner?
Yes, I do.
And you have when you click on your name, are there other things available?
You mean under the Apple?
Way up at no, in the upper right corner, that'd be the left corner. Upper right corner
Oh,
is
it's just my name.
click on your name. And what other options are there? Don't click on any others. Just tell me.
Guest user, and there's never a guest user on this.
And just guess user.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't have multiple ones. Yeah, sometimes you may have had an update that kind of reset it or something, but you can always drag any program you want. Best thing to do is go into the applications folder and fire it up, and then drag it along the dock from the far right side over to the main part of the dock, and that will leave. That way the program will stay there the whole time. And if you have the old Pages logo and you don't want it there, if you click and hold on any item in the dock, you'll get a screen. One of the availability ones says options, and under options, there is remove from dock. Okay. And Al again, Al's so quick. He's going to put in information on there how to use your dock on the Mac.
Okay, I'll give that a try. My question is, if I remove the old Pages, am I also removing everything that was in that?
Removing it from the dock doesn't remove the program. The dock, and that's a good question, but the dock is simply a pointer to the program that exists in the applications folder.
Okay, thank you. Maybe someone else in our group might have similar problems. So
yeah, oh no, absolutely. So, but that's how to manage the dock. But the dock it's an alias. In other words, it's pointing to the program, and so if something gets removed from your dock, it hasn't removed the program. It just has removed that quick little way you can fire it up.
Thank you. I just did that with Pages, and I'll do it later for the other.
And when you fire up a program that's not on the dock, if your dock's on the bottom, it'll be to the far right side of the dock, and just click and drag and pull it over to the main part of the dock. That way, when you quit the program, it won't disappear from the dock.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
All right, good questions. Anybody else at this point?
Yeah, it's Randy. If you can take one more, Ken,
Yeah.
on I think it was Royce with the good question on the selfie stick and shooting it remotely. Something along that line, just to dovetail on that, on the Apple Watch with the camera remote, I find, is there a way to get it off of doing a burst of 10 photos when I use that, or just let it go and let it just pick the best of 10 shots? In other words, on my Apple Watch, I can do the camera remote, click it, but it seems like it's set on default to do a camera burst of the iPhone camera, and it does 10 shots. It's maybe not a problem. It picks the
Well,
best
yeah,
of
no, and the
10.
nice thing is those shots will go away, but let me just look here
Okay.
really quick. Because I don't think I've had that problem with mine,
Oh,
but again, things change all the time too. I don't use it that often. What he's saying is, you guys on your watch, if you have an Apple Watch, you have the ability to activate your camera. And I use this like when we do our ski club, we would do a big group picture. I have my iPhone mounted on a tripod, and I go back to where the group is, and I actuate the shutter from my watch. You have to be within about 30 feet or so, but it really does a great job. And you can be looking up and doing all that. You know, Randy, you have to check into that, because I don't even see where it says camera on the watch. I'm looking at the watch app on, hang on here.
it's called camera remote under calendar, alphabetical.
Yeah, I'm looking under the watch thing.
Oh,
It's a different app. It's not the Apple one.
I think it's the Apple one. Siri, stop. Sorry. You can't see, I can't bend my arm to show you, but it's just alphabetical camera
but you're
remote.
on, okay, no, I'm looking on the watch app, or I mean, the watch app on the phone. So hang on here. I'm seeing if there was any controls there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Maybe afterwards we can delve into that.
Sure, not a problem.
I do know that you also have the ability to do a 3-second delay on that also. So,
which I've used. It's great. Thanks, Ken, for taking the question.
Mary has her hand up.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, this is, I'm hoping it'll be, again, it's part of the last one. When I went to the activity monitor, there is something called kernel underscore.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. Stuff's all internal stuff that it's using.
Okay.
But again, you're going to see it when it's the game running and things like that. So
yeah, and it doesn't appear to be any of those things, but okay, thanks. Just in case somebody else saw that and didn't know what it was.
Hey, Randy, because Al's so busy doing links, I'm going to make you a co-host. And that way, if because it's hard for me to do it when I'm presenting, you'll see if somebody comes in and they're in the waiting room, if you don't mind going in and letting them in.
No problem.
So,
can I do that function on an iPad? I'm not home today. I'm in Reno.
Oh, that's right. You're up there.
Yeah.
Probably. If not, I'm going to go ahead and Melissa, are you available to help with that?
Ken, I'm on my iPhone.
Oh, never
and I'm
mind.
on a
Okay.
dog walk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anybody feel like they'd like to help out with just letting people in if they're stuck in a meeting in the meeting room delay that's on a Mac?
I've been a tech host. Ken, I'd be happy to.
Who was that? Carolyn?
Carolyn, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. I will make you a co-host. I have to find you now. There you are.
It was.
Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate that.
I'm on my iPad, which I've never been on, and they'll show up at the top of the participants, right?
They should. Yeah.
Okay.
I forget because I didn't even make my own iPad a co-host. Actually, that's what I could do. Let me do that. I'll make my iPad a co-host so I can see it.
No, that's fine.
Good deal. Yeah, and then I also we take a look at the microphones to in case there's an open mic that's making noise. So cool. All righty. So any other questions? Feel free to speak up. and we'll do questions along the way. As I'm going through stuff, feel free to interrupt. You can either do that by putting in chat and Al or somebody will let me know, or you can unmute your microphone and it's not a problem interrupting me. So Ellie, you've got a question, go right ahead. But don't forget to unmute yourself. There you
Yep.
go.
I was walking with a friend the other day who has an iPhone 12 and she had an iOS upgrade 14.4.4. But when I came back and upgraded to the latest software from my iPhone 11, it was 14.4.2. That seemed, and it said you're up to date. Is there a 14.4.4?
What phone are you on?
I'm on an iPhone 11.
That's why.
Okay.
Was she on a 12?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It may have only had updates specific to
12.
yeah, let me look here. Yeah, I'm 14.4.2 on a 12. So I have a feeling that was what the discrepancy is on that.
Okay. As long as it tells me I'm up to date on my own phone, I'm up to date.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks. That's great.
And that was one that came through and it was a under the radar kind of it was a bit of a security update. And I think it only applied to those is what it was.
Aha.
Okay. But you're good. And that's, by the way, everybody, you go into on your iOS device, you go to settings, general, and then software update, and it will go ping the server to find out if you have any update. So, and Al, of course, right like that, has the link already posted. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to dig into it's going to be a few things. Like I said, at the end, if there's time, I'm going to dig into iCloud and iCloud settings. But for the most part, it's going to be Siri. And I'm going to not say the word hey and the word Siri together because everybody's would go off like crazy. But when I do activate it from my phone, I will simply use the button, which I'll explain when we get there. So you won't be hearing me say the word hey and the word Siri. And luckily this time I've decided to turn my Alexa devices off. So when I say Amazon or Alexa, because the Alexa devices, the Echo devices can use 4 different keywords to activate them. And they're called wake words, just like the word hey and the word Siri. And like with Google, it's okay Google, and another app I'm going to show you has it. Those are wake words. First of all, they're listening all the time, but they're not doing anything until you say the wake word. And on Amazon Echo devices, it can be one of, not every device can change its wake word, but most of the devices can change their wake word. And the choices are Alexa, Amazon, computer, and Echo. Those are the ones that you can use. So, and I have ones in different, Echo off. So Echo off. So the one I didn't do, because I'm not going to say that word very much today, is when, so for instance, if it's in the same room, or for instance, I have one in my master bedroom, but I also have one in my bathroom because I play music through it while I'm in the shower and I can hear it. So the nice thing is that I have those devices named differently. So I wouldn't necessarily, if I'm in my master bedroom, I don't want the one that's the Echo Dot that's in my bathroom to be the one playing, because it's small and it doesn't have as good a sound. So that's how you differentiate that. So I'm going to share the screen here and go to Keynote. And we're going to start talking about Siri. Oops. All right. So I really want to de-geekify everything here, and hopefully this will help you get through and learn about different devices. I'm going to talk about another dictation device that some of you may have heard about. I haven't touted it in a while, but it's coming back to fore when I was setting up to this. It works pretty well. But how Siri and all these other devices work is you have some sort of device that you can activate either with touch, or like on the Apple Watch, you can press and hold the crown and that will activate Siri. On your phone, if you have a phone like this that's displayed, it's a Touch ID phone, you press and hold the button and that activates Siri. If you have a Face ID phone, the button in the upper right is what you use. You press and hold and that activates Siri. And I'll be doing that today when I'm doing the Siri demonstration, because that way I'm not saying the word hey in the word Siri. So how this works is we have the good old Apple Cloud up there, and it used to always go to the cloud, but now some of this stuff, because the phones and the devices are so powerful now, that it can do this on board, but it still needs an internet connection for the information. So what happens is, at some point when you activate Siri, it activates the microphone. The microphone is sitting there listening the whole time for you. And you would say the word hey and the word Siri and it will activate. A quick little tip: if you're like me and you have multiple devices in the same room and you want your iPod, your HomePod to activate when you say the word hey and the word Siri, if you take your iPhone or your iPad and you set them face down, they won't respond to the hey and the Siri command. So that's just a little tip. So here's what happens. You say something into the microphone and it listens, and it essentially makes a short recording of what you're saying, and it sends that up through the beauty of the internet, whether you're on a cellular connection or a Wi-Fi connection. It goes up to Apple's supercomputer, which used to be in North Carolina, but believe it or not, now they have a huge computer server facility near Sparks, Nevada, and it's up on the hill. It's huge. We drove up to the gates one day and kind of looked in there and kind of peered around, and there's not many people, but there's these big buildings because it's just full of servers. So when you say something like, what's the current weather? It goes up to the cloud. And when it goes up to the cloud, your phone knows your location. So it has to include that when it's sending that information. So it's not just sending your voice, it's sending other pertinent information like for your request. And this is, it goes up there and then it listens for what it says, runs it through the supercomputer, and then it comes back down to your phone. And I'm going to show you the simple way to how that works with using dictation, because I think dictation is also very, very useful. And Siri adds artificial intelligence to it, is what it does. So it comes back down to your device, and then you're able to get the information. So the name Siri, this guy, Doug Kitlaus, he started Siri. Apple bought Siri from him, and he's been with Apple. I don't know if he still is, but he was the one that kind of did all this up. And the name, we always wonder what the name was from, but he's Norwegian, and it says beautiful women who leads you to victory. So that's pretty neat that Siri means all that. But it was he was saving the name for his daughter, and he ended up having boys. So he put the name to the software, and that's how Siri came to be. And Siri is essentially a combination of dictation and voice transcription and artificial intelligence. And we'll show you some examples of that when we get going. So one thing that comes up now is we have multiple devices with Siri. And when you have multiple devices, you have to understand how they're going to respond. I've provided this link. Al will post this link about how Siri knows what devices to correspond to. But you guys can take a photo of this with your iPhone if you want, but it is linked later. So, and Al, if that link doesn't show up, let me know. I'll pull it back out. The other one is these are some things that happen with Siri and the proximity check, how close it is to your head, different things like that. This shows you what to do with Siri when it doesn't play by the rules. And I think I linked that one too, Al. Anyway, so let's talk about devices that can do Siri. Obviously, any iPhone since the 4, oh gosh, Siri goes way back. I think the 4S, the 3S, I think. So any modern iPhone can do Siri. An iPod can do Siri. The Macs for the last 3 or 4 versions of the operating system. Mac Mini is one that can't do Siri unless you have a microphone and a speaker, but all the other Apples except for the Mac Pro can do it. iPads, all the iPads can do Siri. And this is the HomePod Mini, and they're fantastic. They're $99 versus the now discontinued original HomePod that was $299, but more recently available for $199. And those are good devices for your home. They're great for music, but they also do operate as a Siri type device. This is a link, and Al, I hope I put that link in for you at the top there. This is how you can have, if you have a HomePod, the settings you can do if you're in a household where you have multiple users. So that, it's not just that it responds to the word hey and the word Siri, it's got to be for the right person, because you might have different music accounts, you might have different things like that. So the new HomePod Mini, and there was an update to the software in the old HomePod, and it will recognize each person's voice, so therefore it responds to the right person. For instance, if there's 3 of you in the house and you all have different calendars, you can say, well, when's my next appointment? Well, it knows that it's you. So that's important if you're in a multiple person household using multiple people on your HomePod. Since we're talking about hardware and what it does, there are numerous devices that support the Amazon Echo infrastructure, and it's quite diverse. Everything from cameras to devices with screens on them. For instance, I have a Ring doorbell, and it displays on the video if I want to interact with it using the Alexa. You'll notice in the lower right there are glasses, there's a Ring, and there's even some ear pods, and those are all tied into the whole Echo infrastructure, and they're kind of interesting. And that being said, there are significant rumors that Apple may be coming out with a glasses type artificial intelligence device that'll use augmented reality and things like that. And the future of those glasses is, Google had glasses at one time, and they were a little too far ahead of where we were as a society, and people kind of didn't like it, but they would record and do different things. But the future of artificial intelligence and glasses is you're walking down the street and you look this direction, and it'd be a restaurant, and it would all of a sudden put up the menu for the restaurant, or what its health ratings were, its Yelp ratings, things like that, and assist you in different things. It's not to say that with facial recognition, if you had someone in your address book and it looked at that person and analyzed their face, and they'd say, oh, yeah, that's Tom Eskies or something like that. And it would give you that information. It could even pop up and say, he owes you $100, you know, so there is that possibility. So the whole voice is the key to most of this. And then it just propagates from there. And remember, it's a two-way street because your devices can talk back to you. You can ask it things. And rather than just dictation, that's where the artificial intelligence comes in, which is what I'll do once we get into the live demo. So ironically, Apple has the HomePod, the new HomePod Mini that's round with a flat spot on the top. Amazon decided that they'll make a round thing with a flat spot on the bottom. So these are the new Echo Dots and the new Echoes. They've kind of gone a little bit rounder on that. And this is one that's unique. That's on the Echo Dots. You pay a little extra and you can get it so it has a clock on it. So that's interesting, but you can always ask it what time it is. So I'm going to also demonstrate this thing called Hound. And Hound is from SoundHound, and SoundHound was very much like Shazam, where you could ask what song was playing. But Hound has some features that dive in a little deeper, and I'm gonna go into that because it's pretty interesting. These are the links that I provided with Al, and he'll make those available at the end. And now I take the biggest risk in show business. All right, so let's go and so I'm going to display from my phone here. First thing I'm going to do is show you dictation, because to me that is that's Siri on with training wheels. So I'm going to create a new email here. Now, generally speaking, when you do an email, and again, I'm not using Siri here, I'm strictly going to use dictation. And if you look at the bottom, there's your microphone in the lower right. Some of you may have a keyboard with the microphone on the lower left, or like on the iPad, the microphone might be next to the space bar. And that's how you do dictation. But frankly, if you're not using Siri and you're using dictation, it's not best for people's names because that makes it tough. But let's try it. Al Tribbett. It did take it. It turned blue, so it's good. Just testing simple dictation. And then I tap the keyboard. And when I tap the keyboard, it turns that microphone off. So I'm going to go ahead and dictate a little bit now. And again, this is strict speech to text dictation. So by using speech to text, it quickly records what I say. It can do it on the device because it's dictation, but it can interact to the big supercomputer. But these are so powerful enough that it can use dictation. So I'll go through and do a little bit dictation and then we'll talk about it. This is a simple example of, quote, speech to text, closed quote, dictation, period, new line. If you say the word new and the word line, comma, it will advance it by one line, comma, very similar to what you call, quote, carriage return, closed quote, on a typewriter, period, new line. If I want to go farther than that, comma, I can use the word new, comma, and the word paragraph, comma, and it will advance it 2 lines and start a new paragraph, period. New paragraph. It's pretty good that it differentiated between those two, comma, because dictation is getting smarter and smarter all the time. Okay, so it just timed out because it essentially goes for about 30 seconds. So you'll notice that I have the flashing cursor, but it's come back to the keyboard. I could continue to type if I wanted, but if I hit the microphone again, it'll let me start out from where I left off, and it may capitalize the letter of the first word, but it will probably fix that. Let me see, because dictation is getting smarter and more intuitive all the time, period. For instance, comma, being a hockey fan, comma, instead of quarters, they are broken into 3 periods, period. So I found that quite interesting that it differentiated and did 3 periods and period. Actually, let's try this. I've got another one here. I'm at the hockey game, comma, and this is the first period, period. Ah, so it did work with that. That's good. The first one was periods, plural. So this is exactly the same as just typing in on the keyboard. It doesn't, the only thing it will do is it tries to verify the word you say to the dictionary. So it's never going to misspell a word, but in fact, it may give you the wrong word. But I found that it does a pretty good job of contextualizing things. And so it does better and better with that. But you can always go back and edit this, or I can just hit return on the keyboard and start typing from there. Also, I could move the cursor up to here and I could correct what I did there. It didn't need correcting, but you basically think of dictation as simple typing, and it's doing it for you. And you can see it does a pretty darn good job. Again, it will never misspell a word. So at this point, are there any questions about simple dictation?
Can I have a question? When
Go
I
ahead.
was dictating an email, I needed to use a person's name in it, and his name was Calvin, C-A-L-V-I-N, and it would only go Kelvin, K-E-L-V-I-N. I could not, no matter how carefully I pronounced it, get it to switch. What do you do if you have something like a person's name or a place or something like that?
So in that case, it tries to access, and Siri does it a little better in dictation, but it actually tries to access your contacts. So in that case, if Calvin has a last name, if you use his first and last name, it might come up for you. That would be a way to try it.
Okay.
Other than that, it's not perfect, and names are very much a problem. For instance, I know a lot of people that when they text someone, let's say you were sending an email to Calvin, you don't have to say Calvin in the email because he knows who he is. And when you're doing a text, you don't say, Calvin, oh, I noticed today that your car's a little dirty. You need to have it washed or something like that. You don't have to put the name Calvin in there. He already knows his name. So it's best to just leave it out. And
Yeah,
like
this wasn't that case. I needed to refer.
No, I know you were
Yeah.
referencing it. So if you use first and last name, you can try it. In fact, while we're doing this, you can go ahead and mute yourself and go try dictation and see if putting his first and last name in will make it work for you. And that's your homework. You can report back to us as soon as you let us know either way. But it's worth a try. I've noticed sometimes though, especially with Siri, it will default to the person's name when I'm trying to actually, in that case, if I said the word Kelvin, it would maybe go towards Calvin. So, and is that what comes up when you try Calvin? It's Kelvin, the temperature?
Yeah, it comes up Kelvin with a capital K, like the temperature, instead of Calvin,
Yeah.
like Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah.
And I couldn't convince it otherwise.
Yeah, I know. It's hey, it's not perfect. And anyway, I do have a hand up from Ellie Shaw. Go ahead.
Yes, Ken, this is use dictation without Siri for email, obviously. And what else? Can you use it in like word processing programs?
Great question. You can use dictation everywhere a keyboard comes up. I'm in Safari. So I would say apple.com. Boom. Or if I'm in Safari and I want to just do a search, I say world's best apple pie recipe. everywhere you have a keyboard, you can use dictation. Okay?
Great.
Great
And then
question.
when you're finished, if you just have a quick thing like world's best apple pie recipe, do you need to go back to the keyboard and hit return to finish dictation? Or can you just stop talking?
Yeah, okay. Unlike Siri, dictation will go for about 30 seconds. So if I were just pausing, but then the problem is somebody talks to you over your shoulder and that gets
Right.
in, you actually have to tap the keyboard and that stops it.
Anywhere on the keyboard?
Well, I'll show you again. So I'm going to
Yeah.
highlight that. I'm going to tap the keyboard. Worst apple pie recipe. And then I just tap that. Notice how there was a voice thing in the keyboard at the bottom. See the little keyboard?
Yeah. Oh,
Now, if
I
you're on
see.
a, if you're on a
That's what
touch
you,
ID,
okay.
if you're on a touch ID phone, it may look a little different.
I'm
But
actually on a MacBook Pro right now reading it. So yeah, I didn't see it, but the little keyboard, but that's what that little icon is what you tap to stop dictation.
correct.
Gotcha. Great.
And again, it goes for 30 seconds and it doesn't, Siri has it. When we get into Siri, we're going to talk about delay and everything on that. So good
Okay,
question.
thanks.
Harleen, go right ahead, unmute yourself. Harleen, you can hit if you're on a Mac, you can press
I'm
it.
good.
Oh, good. Hi, go ahead.
If you're wanting to dictate onto a blank page, where can you find the blank page that has a key?
Well, is there an app called Blank Page? And if
That
you were on Blank Page, would you have a keyboard? No, you have to be in somewhere that invokes a keyboard. So here's a for instance. Let's say you're going to make a posting on a forum or something like that. What I have a tendency to do is either I fire up notes, but I usually just fire up mail. And in mail, I just go down to the subject and I would delete what I have there. And now I would start quote typing, close quote, which I really mean speaking, comma, so that I can dictate whatever I want, period.
Okay, that's great.
Then I copy and paste that where I want it, because there is no such thing as blank page.
Exactly.
If you sat down to a typewriter and didn't have paper in it, you could still type, but it's probably not going to come out.
Okay.
Good question though. But yeah, everywhere you have a keyboard, and the thing is if the keyboard comes up, there's a microphone there. And if you don't get this, I've got to show you where to go. In settings on your iOS device, you come down to settings and yeah, I think they put it in our keyboard. So if you're in settings and you don't know where something is, you slide down, tap search, and I'm going to say dictation. And there it is. Oh, it's in settings, in general keyboard. So there's dictation. And actually, let's go back to that. Enable dictation. You go into setting, general, keyboards, and then down here you click enable dictation. More than likely it's on automatically, and you'll know because if your keyboard comes up and there is a microphone, it's on. If there isn't a microphone, you need to go into settings and enable dictation. And the first time you do it, it may take a little while because it downloads the dictation library. Now, the same thing can happen on your Mac. And let's go in there. So if I go to my settings on my Mac, it is under keyboards right here. I'm on Big Sur, so it's a little different. And if I go over here to dictation, now if I were to click dictation, I don't use it on my Mac. I do use Siri, but I don't use straight dictation because mine's kind of stuck away. But if you click dictation, there's an option of enhanced dictation or not enhanced dictation. And frankly, I don't like enhanced dictation as much, but you can do it from your Mac. But again, it's one of those things on the Mac, we type our keyboard a lot, and Siri essentially does dictation. I just always like to demonstrate dictation for everybody. So Again, it's on your iOS device. And I encourage it on the iOS device because there's many times you don't want to be doing the full Siri feedback and all that. And believe it or not, even if you're in a noisy environment, it will do dictation for you because you have noise canceling on your phone. So.
Great, great help. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let me turn on Do Not Disturb. There we go. All right. So let's see here. So that's dictation. Now, again, any questions on dictation before I move into Siri? Please, this is the time. And I don't have chat up. Is there anything in chat, Al, that I need? Let's see here. I got it. Hang on. Oh, good. Al has how to enable it. That's perfect. So that's not, gosh, it's so useful. Thanks, Al, so much.
Quick question, Ken. I missed it when you had the very small keyboard, how you got it to be full size on the screen.
Oh, no. So what happens is when I'm in like in here and I tap and have a keyboard, once I'm in dictation, the keyboard goes away and has a little sound meter. And then there's a little itty bitty keyboard. That's while I'm dictating and I tap that to start it. So I'll show you how that works again. Give me the mediocre apple pie recipe. And then I tap the keyboard at the bottom there and that turns off dictation like that.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
By
Karen,
the
go
way,
ahead.
I tested what you said about Calvin, and this
Yeah.
time it came up correctly, so I didn't get it.
Because you use the last name or only when you use the first name?
Only when I use the first name.
It's listening. See, it's listening to us.
I guess so.
You know, that brings up a question. People seem to think, people wonder if Siri and dictation get better on our device because we're using it. No, what happens is the artificial intelligence and the machine learning of Apple and the computer gets better over time, and then it benefits everybody. So great, good job. Karen Owen, go ahead and ask your question. You unmute yourself. There you are.
Hi, Ken. Would this work in a classroom situation where you wanted to dictate class notes?
30 seconds at a time.
So you'd have to turn it off and turn it on and turn it off.
Well, you'd have to keep invoking the microphone. There are other apps that can do that, but this with the 30-second timeout wouldn't be feasible.
What are those other apps?
You know, I don't know right now. You'd have to look them up, but the best thing to do in a situation like that. Now, are you trying to, would you want the transcription for immediate use or use after you left the class?
After I left the class.
So then what you can actually do, there's some things like Dragon Naturally Speaking and some of those where you would record it on site and then transcribe it later, or there might be some live transcription, but frankly, I don't have them right now, but it's amazing what has happened with that, with the intelligence that's there. So if anybody knows of one, feel free to chirp up on that. But yeah, it's I know Zoom even now has the ability, you can, the meeting coordinator for Zoom can turn off live closed captioning. Now, whether that's a transcription or not, that's different. Closed captioning versus getting a transcript are two different things. But yeah, I don't know of any right off the bat, but I know they're out there.
Okay, if you were in Pages, could you use dictation to like dictate a document, or is that also 30 seconds?
Do you have a keyboard in Pages?
Haven't learned to use Pages yet.
No, but you haven't used Pages?
So. No, but I'm
when you're in Pages, do you have a keyboard?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you do, because how else would you type?
You have to.
How else would you type? Everywhere you have a keyboard, everywhere you have a keyboard, you can use dictation.
Okay.
So everywhere you can use a keyboard, you can use dictation, whether it be on the Mac or whether it be on an iPhone.
But on the Mac and Pages, is there a 30-second limitation too?
I believe so.
Okay.
And yeah. So the other thing is when we go to dictation, So I'm going to do another fake email here. One of the most important things to remember with either Siri or dictation, comma, we'll see if it corrects. I don't know, because that should say Siri, period. I guess I enunciated it better the second time. Comma, you'll notice that it went ahead and corrected it further back, period. It did try to get that name from my address book, but it corrected it to Siri, period. New line. The best way to do dictation or when you're using Siri is to think in phrases, but speak in words, period. The reason I say that is it's important to enunciate each word, comma, but if you think in phrases, comma, you will probably use punctuation, period. Punctuation is important. Okay. So you guys notice that it corrected it started to say Sherry at first and it went and did Siri. So that was good. Punctuation is important, comma, and we all know those situations where a comma placed in one position has total different meaning than placed in another, or comma, if they don't do a comma at all, it can really change the meaning, period. I have a tendency to get used to using dictation, comma, and it helps a lot, period. The only problem I run into now, since I use dictation and or Siri with punctuation, I have caught myself leaving someone a voicemail message on those very few times when I'm actually leaving a voicemail, and I'll say, "Hi, this is Ken, comma, please give me a call when you get a chance," period. And the only problem with that is there's no undo because you're leaving this message. So we're so used to being able to undo stuff, and I just kind of face palm my head and I go, okay, oh well, you know, and it always gets a good laugh, but it is a problem. So I don't have that problem when I'm talking to a live person, but I do have that problem if I'm leaving a voicemail. So I want to show you a couple other things that we all know how weird it is to type fractions and percentages and things like that. So if you want to type fractions, it's pretty easy, comma. What is 1/4 of 10? That's interesting, comma. I should have just left it at 1/4, period. New line. The other thing is how it does money for you, period. $316.12, period. You'll notice how it makes those corrections along the way, period. Now, I'll stop this because I want to start it over. So when you're doing numbers, it's a little different because it uses what's correct grammar for writing out numbers or giving the integer. So when I'm dictating, I can say 1 and it will probably spell it out, period. If I want it to be the numeral, comma, I say numeral 1, comma, then numeral 2, comma, or numeral 3, period. So if you say the word numeral in front of it, it will give you the actual integer, period. New line. It also helps correct it for you when you say 3,460. Oh, geez, I'm on do not disturb. Why did that come in? Sorry about that. My phone's on do not disturb and some reason a call came in. You can also say all caps, capital, comma, and that will capitalize whatever it is you said, period. You'll also notice that I was able to put quotation marks around words, period. This is today's quote, MacNexus presentation, closed quote. For some reason, it didn't do the first quote, period, but you'll notice it fixed it, period. So an interesting story about punctuations and putting a period at the end. With in the beginning, there was only the female Siri voice, and a lot of people wanted a male voice, so they picked Australian. There was a male Australian, or there was a British there was an Australian voice for English, a male one, and then there was an English male voice. The problem was, and this happened in one of the very first Siri classes I did, the person came in and they said, well, when I say period, it just types it. It doesn't put anything at the end of the sentence. Well, when I listened to the Siri, I recognized it was the British voice. And what they say at the end is full stop instead of period. So when we dictated to it, it said full stop and that put a period. Now you can have different male or female voices within each of the language, but the language you choose is important because of reasons like that, because there are differences in different things. All right, so that's it for dictation now. Are there, and I'm gonna, so we've had our training wheels with dictation, and I encourage everyone, if you haven't used Siri a lot, go in and use dictation, because then the actual act of dictation is not as stressful for you, because you're trying to read as it goes along and do all this stuff. And again, think in phrases, but speak in words. And you should get pretty comfortable with it. The other thing is, as we go into Siri, you'll find out it kind of times out a little quicker. So if you want to hone your skills, just go in and make a brand new email. Don't send it to anybody, but just do what you want. So at this point, any questions on dictation, please go ahead and ask away right now.
Yeah, Ken?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bonnie here. I just
Hi.
want to know, basically, like if I'm in Pages, how do I initiate the dictation?
On an iOS device or on
On
the Mac?
laptop.
Yeah, so you have to go in, if we go into settings on the Mac and you go to keyboards, and then you go to dictation, the shortcut is right here. And it's press Control key twice is the default. I actually, originally it was the function key. I used to have it so it was the function key because I always thought it was fun. But once you've enabled dictation, I'll do it here. So here's what happens when I enable dictation. It says, when you dictate text, what you send to Apple will be converted to text. That's great. I say enable dictation. So now to activate it on the computer, because you only have a physical keyboard and it's not always an Apple keyboard, I'm going to go in and I'll fire up notes. I'll fire up text edit. So I'll go with a new document. Okay. Oh. So here's this new document. So I'm going to go on my keyboard and press the Control key twice.
Okay.
Once I've pressed the Control key, comma, it will do dictation for me, period. When you're done, you can either press done on the little microphone, comma, and I think you can then or press the Control key twice. Actually, maybe even only once. So again, double click Control key, new paragraph. Once you've clicked the Control key, comma, it will go ahead and do dictation for you, period. new line. It doesn't appear that those controls work in simple dictation in this application, period. And it misspelled dictation, period. So you'll know, and it kind of didn't fix it, but you'll notice now, look on here. So the word controls, it's blue underlined.
Yeah.
If I control click on that, it gives me other choices. The red line underneath it, if I control click on it, it gives me possible other spelling of the word that I didn't want. But I'll tell you, the problem most people have when they first start with dictation is they try to read it as it's typing, and you'll find you don't want to do that because you'll keep pausing and you'll be double doing and it might slow down. I'm on a very fast computer, so it does it almost instantly, but it might be a delay. Try not to read it as it's typing for you, because it's almost like that situation where you hear your own words coming over a speaker and it throws you all off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, again, we've struggled around and we've talked about how to do dictation and all this other stuff, but once you're used to it and you get comfortable with it, there's a simpler way to do it. So I'm going to go back to my phone. And we're going to start using Siri. So let me just make sure I don't, okay, perfect. So again, the way you activate Siri is saying the word hey and the word Siri. And I just don't want to do that because I have 4 different Apple devices in front of me. But I'm going to press and hold the side button. Now, if you have a Touch ID phone, you're going to press and hold the big round button at the top, at the bottom. And if you, why is do not disturb? That's on. Terrible. Anyway, you can press and hold the whole time you're speaking, or if you press and hold for just a short amount of time, it will initiate it, and then you don't have to keep holding it. So on a Face ID phone, it's on the upper right-hand corner of the keyboard. You can see my little mouse going right there. And if it's a Touch ID, you press and hold the power button, the big round button at the bottom. So first, I'm going to kind of just show you a few Siri things. We'll get into dictation later. What's the current temperature? So because I'm hooked to Tether, it doesn't say it, but a lot of times it'll say it for you. So you can say, what's the current time? What's the current time in Chicago? Okay, so it's doing all of those. Mine is not giving me voice feedback, and that's because I'm tethered to this to see this through here. Actually, that's not going to be good. So let me see if, you know what, when we take a break, I'm going to have to make sure sound works on this because anyway, so think about this a second. Let me try sharing my phone a different way because I want you guys to be able to hear the output of this. So 1 second here. I'm going to stop share and I'm going to try share my phone via cable. What's the current time? Still no sound. Okay. Bear with me 1 second here. I'm sorry, because it's important to. There we go. Yeah. This is so much easier when I'm doing a presentation. Oh, you know what? Let's use this app. This might work. Stop share. Let me see. I apologize. It worked well when I was setting up. One sec here. All right, I'm going to deflect back to, I'm going to do Siri on my Mac because it essentially does the same thing. And then I'll work on this other. So I'm going to share my screen again. All right. So on my Mac, in the upper right corner, I have it. So let's try this. What's the current temperature?
It's currently 61 degrees.
Okay. So I'll do this because, and I can do the same thing on my phone. Now you notice that once I've invoked Siri, this little rotating sphere is there. So I don't have to go up and hit Siri again. And I simply click on it and we'll activate it. It's, what's the current time?
It's 10:30 a.m.
I always find that funny. It's M, it's reading AM like that. So I've got a couple little Siri things that I've got to get my script out here. All right. So if we go, Siri is artificial intelligence. So if I say, will I need a jacket tonight?
The low temperature will be 52 degrees tonight.
So it inferred that if I'm asking if I'll need a jacket tonight, oh, well, maybe I should give you the forecast. So again, that's a very simple part of the artificial intelligence. Let's see if this works. I think it stopped working. What can I say? So this is a very helpful tool. And if you'll notice, and I know it's small on your screen, on the bottom right of that little window, there's a question mark. And if we hit the question mark, it brings this up to you and it's dialogue on how you can interact with Siri. And this is built into your iOS device or your Mac. So if you'll notice,
And
it said,
We're not
sorry, go
seeing
ahead.
your Mac, we're seeing your iPhone.
Now, if you look in the right-hand corner of the screen, you're seeing my Mac. I'll go ahead and hide QuickTime Player.
Okay.
Now, do you see it? Oh, hang on. Oh, crap. What can I say? What can I say? So you see this inset window? Everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you would get on an iOS device or that. So you can say, what can you say? Or always when you're in Siri, there's a little question mark to the right-hand side. And that brings this up. And this kind of gives you the dialogue on how to do it. So we're going to do one of the simplest things with Siri is we're going to make an appointment. So you'll notice under calendar, it says set up a meeting. So
what date and time is your appointment?
I didn't say the word. Boy, that was my phone. Now the phone is working with noise. Amazing. Let's see if that changes when I do this. Hang on. That's funny. What's the current temperature? No, it's when I'm using QuickTime is the problem. All right, I'm going to try one other thing here because it's so much easier to do it from the phone. All right, give it a sec here. We're going to see if Reflector will work. And we'll see if it gives us the video we need or the audio we need. Come on. Okay, that's not going to work. Let me try real quick through Zoom. Stop share. Share screen. Sorry, tech. Remember when I said this is the biggest risk anyone will take in it's connected. All right, that's not going to work. We're going to go back to doing it on the Mac. Luckily on the Mac now we can do everything we want. So we're back on share screen. We're going to bring up Siri. What can I say?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, so this is the list of things that you can say and how to say them. So that's always there as a reference for you. And it's pretty darn good. So we're going to go through. So for instance, in this case, make the screen brighter. By the way, on the iPhone, you can say turn on airport mode or do different things like that. You can say turn on Wi-Fi, turn off Wi-Fi. But on all my devices, I have lots of applications. And rather than going in and finding all those applications, I can just tell Siri, launch calendar. There my calendar comes up. So let's look at April 8th here because we're going to use that. So if I go back to Siri, create an event on April 8th at 10 a.m.
It's on your calendar for Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Change title to This is a Siri Test.
Your appointment called. This is a Siri test. Will be on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Ready to update it?
Yes.
Your appointment is scheduled for Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
So if you look, you notice on the calendar, it put the event in and it changed the title. Part of the reason I do it that way is, and I'll show you what happens is, if I create an event with someone in my contacts, it will automatically send them an invitation and do all that. So first I'm going to cancel that. Cancel my This is Siri test on April 8th.
I didn't find any appointments about this is Siri test for Thursday.
Cancel all my appointments on April 8th.
Should I remove this from your calendar?
Yes.
All right, it's off your calendar.
At 10 a.m. on April 8th, schedule Al Tribbett.
I didn't find any appointments with Al Tribbett for Thursday at 10 a.m. Shall I create it?
Yes.
Your appointment with Al Tribbett is scheduled for Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
See, why I don't like to do it this way is because it doesn't name it. So I then just click it again and say, change title.
What's the new name?
Al Tribbett.
Your appointment called Al Tribbett will be on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Ready to update it?
Yes. Or I could have tapped confirm.
Your appointment with Al Tribbett and Ken Spencer is scheduled for Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Now we're going to go in and we'll look at that appointment. So if I go there, it's, well, let's get this slid out over here.
Ken, let me butt in here.
Go ahead.
Participant window is noting that all we're seeing is Ken Spencer has started screen sharing black screen.
Oh my gosh. Well, wait.
Sorry.
Are you seeing that too, Randy?
Yes, it's black screen on my little iPad with the
I'm seeing
circle going
the same
around.
thing. Yeah. So let me stop the share.
Oh, there it is. I
No,
see
no,
your
that's back. So you
partridge
guys,
family.
yeah, no, I think it was still trying to connect to my iPhone is what the problem was. Okay,
Okay,
so now we're back. Good. Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you for pointing that out. If you see that, and I use my iPad as a monitor and I just didn't happen to look down on it. So basically you made this appointment. You guys heard all that. You didn't necessarily need, I know you didn't see it, but there was not much to see. So if I double click on this appointment, when you use a person, it automatically sends them an invite also. So that's one of the reasons I don't do it that way, because I don't always want to send an invite to somebody. So what I can do is for that is I'll go. Actually, I'll walk through it because it will prompt you along the way also. Create an appointment.
What date and time is this appointment?
April 8th at 12 a.m.
It's on your calendar for Thursday until 1 a.m.
Okay, so I should have said 12 p.m. So it's made that appointment on there. Edit title.
What's the new name?
Siri test.
Your appointment called Siri test will be on Thursday until 1 a.m.
Edit title.
What's the new name?
Oops, I didn't mean to edit title.
Your appointment called Oops, I didn't mean to edit title will be on Thursday until 1 a.m.
Edit time.
What time is this appointment?
Noon.
Your appointment called Oops, I didn't mean to edit title will be on Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
So you can see how that works.
I
And
scheduled your appointment for Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
And let's go to another one. Let's see. So I have this Renaissance one come. Oh, actually, we can do this on the same day. So now I'm going to create an event called Siri test at noon on April 8th.
You already have another event about Oops, I didn't mean to edit title at 12 p.m. Should I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
I scheduled your event for Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
So the beauty there is that what's happening is it looks in my calendar and said I already had an event. And remember, you're looking at my calendar while we're doing this, but you could be doing this in your car with your phone in your purse or your pocket and just saying the word hey and the word Siri and having it do this. So that's why it gives you feedback like that. Okay, so that's doing an event. And if we go back up to Siri, what can I say? That walks you through. When I hit the little arrow to the right of calendar, it tells you how to add events and things. So the Siri cheat sheet is always there. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to send Al a text message. So I have Siri up already, or I press the button, or I say the word hey and the word Siri. Send Al Trivet a text message.
Which of these should I use for all Trivet?
iPhone.
What do you want to say?
Thanks for doing all the links today, comma. It is a huge help.
Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, it's sent.
Now, if I was in my car and I had it through my head, the speakers in the car, or through a headset, it will read that message back to me and then give me the choice of doing it. It knows that I'm in front of a computer, so it knows I'm looking at it. But the beauty is, for hands-free in the car, you simply speak it. It will read back to you what it typed for you, and then ask you if you want to send it. At that point, I could either add to it, is what I say. And if I add to it, I can add more to it, or I can say edit, and it wipes it out and starts it from fresh. But let's further go, and let's say I'm in my car and I can say, read me my most recent text message.
You have recent messages from all. All said no problem. Great demo. And sent a grinning emoji. Would you like to reply?
Yes,
What do you want to say?
thank you, smiley face.
Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, it's sent. Okay, no other messages.
So Siri is even making it so it can read your messages for you. And we have a dialogue back and forth. And this is really important. You know, we aren't spending as much time in our cars as we used to, but think of the future where we will be able to. We'll get back in our cars, and this can work quite well. And you can just be sitting there. You could be doing something on the computer, and this could be going on your iPhone at the same time. So Siri can invoke any of the apps you have and do things with it. So I'm going to do another one where I'll say, send Al Trivet an email.
Which one of these should I use for All Trivet?
Home.
What's the subject of your email?
Again, comma, another test of Siri.
What would you like your email to say?
I know it's getting tired of you.
Okay, here's your email message to All Trivet.
Edit.
Would you like to send, cancel, change subject add, or change message?
Change message.
What would you like your email to say?
Well, I stumbled over my tongue on that one, comma. I know it's getting old, but you're getting lots of messages from me, comma. And I don't think either of us gets way too much email or anything, period.
Here's your email message to All Trivet. Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send it.
So again, if you're on the iPhone and you're mobile and it wants you to not look at your phone, it would read that back to you. So it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. So moving on from that, if we go back to the question mark or what can you say? The other thing is I always do my reminders with that. Pretty much anything. And I'll do and we won't really need sound on that, but I can do this. I can say, show me my photos from Yellowstone. So it fires up my photos program. My photos program was not running. Oh, hang on. Oh, switch library. I'm in the wrong one. So I'll do this on my phone. It's easier because I have multiple photos libraries. So I'm going to get my phone back up on the screen here. One sec. You don't need the sound for this. You'll hear me. And come on, there we go. Wow. The demo things are just not working today. Yeah. All right. This is why I tell people they shouldn't upgrade to Big Sur. I have no choice. It's on and it's been working just fine. It's on a machine that can only run Big Sur. Okay. Yes. Am I frustrated? Let's do this. I'm going to skip the photos thing for now. Let's go back to Siri. What can I say? So we can, oh yeah, so if you're on Apple Music, you can ask it to play different songs. reminders. I use reminders all the time with it. Weather, stocks, clock. Oh, set the alarm for 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
I can't set an alarm here.
Yeah,
Would
because
you
we're
like a
not.
reminder instead?
Oh, it would have done a reminder. No.
You have more than 50 completed
Yeah.
reminders.
All right, so let's do this. So show me my Allstate password. I'm still waiting. So that's going to work on the phone too. I'll tell you what, you guys, let me get this phone thing worked out because it's so powerful. Why don't we let's everybody take, well, it's 10:49. Let's come back at 11. You're welcome to stick around. And while I'm trying to fix this, you can ask me questions, but it's just, I need to get the phone going. It was working this morning, so I don't know what the scoop is. So let me just work on that. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes, but feel free to ask away questions. Without raising your hand, you can unmute your mic. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay, let's try it this way. Share screen. What's the current temperature? Still no sound. Read me my most recent text message.
You have recent messages from Al. Al said no problem. Great demo. And sent, would you like to
What's the current temperature? Anybody questions, feel free to ask out loud. Because I'm trying to get this fixed.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, go ahead.
This is a really stupid question, but
I'll determine that.
should I do not have Google on my phone.
Hang on one sec. What's the current temperature?
It's 61 degrees right now.
Awesome. Okay. Kathy, what was that? You don't have Google
On my phone.
Google
Well,
browser?
it's unless I guess, I don't
Well,
know.
what, are you concerned being able to use Google search?
Yeah, I don't really.
Well, in Safari, it defaults to Google search. If you look at my phone on the screen here, when I go and say apple pie in the URL bar and I hit go, it should come up to Google. If yours doesn't, you're already in Google search. You don't need the Google browser.
So I don't want to put the Google browser on my phone.
There's no need to.
Thank you.
Not bad like it is on your Mac. On the Mac, it's terrible.
Okay, because it wants to pass me to complete my sign up for Google.
No, you don't need to sign into Google for any of that.
Oh, good. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And how do I get out of it?
Get out of what?
Google.
Just hit cancel or hit the X or go to a different website.
Okay, and also, you said that, how do we get Siri without saying, hey, Siri again? I missed that.
Oh, is yours a Touch ID phone or a Face ID phone?
It's a 12. Oh, it's face.
Okay, so then it's on the right-hand side, the button there, you press and hold the button and that activates Siri.
Just a second. Go where? Say it one more time.
The button on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, on your phone rather. On your phone, there's a button on the right side, the one, the sleep wake button.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And then you press and hold that and that activates Siri.
But my screen goes blank.
No, press and hold till Siri comes up.
I see.
And
Gotcha.
it's just that little orb you get.
Yeah, and then it says, "Hey, Kathy."
Then you don't have to say Siri.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to say Siri. It's right here. It's on
Correct.
the side. Thank you, Ken, so much.
You're welcome.
So easy. Look.
Right there.
Yeah, that one. You just hold it down and then Siri
For how
comes
long?
up. Till Siri comes up, see?
Ken, this is
Go ahead,
Melissa,
Melissa.
and I'm interested in helping a friend use Siri.
Yeah,
If
sure.
you
That's always a
haven't-
likely story.
I know. If
It's
you
always for a
haven't done
friend.
the setup Siri, can you still use a lot of the functions of Siri?
Well, so is it asking you, so when it says setup Siri it usually does the voice prompt and it's asking the person to put in their voice and you dictate to what it says so that it knows, so it recognizes the voice as what it is. But other than that, you should be able to, it should work okay.
All right, well, we'll just experiment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good session today.
Oh, thanks. I think I've got this thing cured. I'm going to try
Tell
something.
me what key to use on my keyboard to get Siri on my Mac.
Well, so Siri is on your Mac all the time. Well, how old is your Mac?
Oh, about 4 years, I guess.
And is it an iMac?
It's an MacBook Air.
MacBook Air. So if you look across your dock in the upper right, up where the date is, do you see a little orb that's kind of colored?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's Siri up there.
Yep, and you click on that.
Oh, I got it. Thank you.
You bet. It was dictation that required you to click on the keyboard. Okay, hang on one sec here, everybody. Let's try reflector and see if it works. What's the current temperature?
It's 61 degrees right now.
Okay, so QuickTime has failed us. I have reflector. I'm going to quit reflector and let me go get my reflector license. It's a heck of a license.
Ken, when you're ready to take a question, Kathy has her hand up.
Okay, one sec. Go ahead, Kathy. Was that your previous question or a new one? Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
It's related to this.
It's related to our phones again. Like when I try to do it on my husband's when I try to push the side button to get Siri up without saying, "Hey Siri," on his 8 Plus, it doesn't do that. It just says power off. It doesn't pull up.
Oh,
Siri.
he's on an 8 Plus. That's a fingerprint ID one, right?
Well, or a code.
You got a new one.
No, but it's fingerprint. It's got a button at the bottom, right?
Yes.
You press and hold that button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
There we
Face
go.
ID phone, it's the button on the upper right side with a fingerprint ID with the traditional home button that we're used to. You press and hold the home button.
Thank you.
You bet. Bert, go ahead.
Do it.
Hi, Ken. I think you showed me how to do this years ago from La Placita. I have an iPhone. I'm approaching my garage, and previously I think you showed me to say, Siri, when I get home, remind me to do with something, but it was an audible message. Is that possible, or did I just make that up?
Well, so, okay, good question. So reminders, and I'm going to do another reminders and contacts and all that at some point, but reminders is your little, it's like a to-do list. So it can be just a list. It can be time-based or it can be location-based. So if I say, when I get home, remind me to turn the water off. When I get near my house, because you know it knows where your house is, it'll pop up and say, but it won't read it out to you. It'll pop up and say, remember to turn off the water. And that's it. It won't be an audible, but you may get an audible notification, a chime or something like that, that will mean the notification goes up, but it won't read you the notification
So
or
I
the
will,
reminder.
so audibly, I will hear a ding from Siri. Is that right?
If you have your notifications, not from Siri, you'll hear it from the reminders app.
So I have to get into the reminders app.
You have to
and-
go into notifications. If it doesn't ding when it comes up, you
Right.
might have you might have the mute button on, or you might have it set to not give you a sound.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll give it a
So
try.
let me
Thanks.
try again really quick or make sure this works. What's the current time?
It's 11 a.m.
Fantastic. Were you guys able to hear that? Okay, good. All right.
Yes.
So luckily I have all right, my third choice, we have it going. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. Great. All right. Whew. Stress time. All right. So everybody sees my phone, hopefully. So now I'm going to go back through and do some of these where it works on the phone really well. So an app that Al told me a long time ago, I have hundreds of apps. Launch TPE. This is a photography app. Boom, it launched that app. It goes through and launches any of the apps I want. But I want to show you too. So again, I can say launch email, but then I would just go through and dictate. So why wouldn't I just have it type an email for me? And I'm going to say, what can I say?
I'm here to help. Get to know Siri at
Yeah,
apple.com.
and so that pops up, and this really makes me angry because it used to come up with the Siri question mark. Show me the list of things I can say.
That may be beyond my abilities. at the
Yeah,
moment.
see, now why does Apple do that? That happened recently, so I want to go back and
I didn't get that.
I was in the middle of doing, here we go. Show me my photos from Yosemite. So there are all my photos from Yosemite over the years. I've not tagged these. I haven't put them in there. I don't curate my photos. I can say, show me my pictures of cars. There's every pictures of cars I've taken. And I didn't say those were all cars. Show me my pictures of wheels. So there's our wheels on cars. This is all Siri going in and analyzing my photos. Show me my photos of water. Well, yeah, I guess the skiing one looks a little like water. Show me my photos of food. Well, yeah, that piranha in the middle of there, that's looks like food. Actually, most of those are from my Ecuadorian trip. That's interesting. So let's see. It can be location. Show me my photos from Kirkwood ski area. Well, that's not it. Okay, some of them were. All right. Show me my photos from North Star.
I didn't find any matching photos.
Show me my photos from Truckee. So here's all, because it's Truckee, my different ones, different photos there. So you can also say, let's see. Show me my photos of Ken Henry.
I didn't find any matching
Okay, I don't
photos.
have that. Let's see here. Let me see who I've got in my library here. Oh, I haven't named him here. Well, here we go. Show me my photos of Mary.
I didn't find any matching.
Yeah. Anyway, I haven't curated my albums here. But you can use the photos for tons. You can use tons of things like that. Now, probably the most useful thing of Siri on your iPhone is to do directions. So I'm going to show you what you can do, and I can say, give me directions to Sacramento International Airport.
Getting directions to Sacramento International Airport.
So it's using Apple Maps, and I'm not doing anything. And in a second here, it will just start taking me there.
Sacramento International Airport.
Okay.
Head southeast on Brightwood Lane.
All right. So I'm going to end that, end route, and I'll force quit that. Okay. But new only in the last year, because I use Waze all the time, I can say, navigate to Sacramento International Airport using Waze.
Which Sacramento International Airport? Getting directions to Sacramento International Airport using Waze.
So it uses the navigation in Waze. And for some reason, because of demos being demo, my screen's black, yours is white, but it will do it. And it has to do with the fact that I'm using the screen sharing. So anyway, you can now use alternate ones. Let's try Google Maps. Navigate to Sacramento International Airport using Google Maps.
Which Sacramento International Airport? Getting directions to Sacramento International Airport using Google Maps.
Yeah. So for Waze works, it works perfectly. I use it all the time. I think it's just something about using this, using the screen share app that we're doing. So you now have options on that. So, all right, let me look back at my Siri notes here. Calendars are in. So the other one is, if you're cooking, you can say, set the timer for 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes and counting.
And then it'll go along. And when the timer goes off, you can actually tell Siri, hey, go ahead and turn that timer off or whatever. We talked about passwords earlier. So I'm going to say, show me my Allstate password. It goes into my preferences, made sure. Wow, that's weird. It works all the time. Show me my Allstate password. That's really bizarre. Wow. Oh, there we go. Show me my Allstate password. Well, I think if I were disconnected, it would do it. It did it a week ago for me when I was demonstrating this. So I don't know who the jinx in the crowd is, but boy, if we find out who it is, I can have it read my email or my voicemail. I can do things like, what is an 18% tip of $32.68?
I found this on the web.
Oh my God, that's not doing it anymore. Never mind. Ah, geez. Ken failure day. All right. There's some other ones in here. Siri can be fun. So I can say, I'm drunk.
I can't be your designated driver. You'd better find someone else.
So I could tap that and call me a taxi or call me an Uber. So it's not, it doesn't just dictate that you're drunk. It says, well, maybe I should find you a cab. What does the fox say?
Pow.
That's from the movie. Who makes the best phone?
The one you're holding.
Who makes the best computer?
The Mac. If it weren't for the Mac, I wouldn't be here.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
As environmentally responsible creatures, I suspect woodchucks would encourage the recycling of wood over simply chucking it.
So I'm convinced that Siri and the artificial intelligence, she has a bit of an attitude. And I think that's great, because if it was a very mundane, very artificial voice, it would be somewhat more intimidating for people. And this way, it's got a bit of a personality. And I think it makes it so people can embrace it a little easier, and they're more likely to. And so our 3-minute timer has gone off. So it's time to take the eggs off of there. Turn off my timer.
Okay, it stopped.
And I remember, if I was across the room, I could have said the word hey and the word Siri, and I would have been able to do it without touching it. So let's see. I want to go into an app, and this is why I really had to get the phone connected again. There's an app called Hound. And Hound is interesting in that you can do some, well, first of all, when you fire up Hound, it's a free app because there are ads that are on here when you do different things. But if you download the Hound app, you'll notice at the top, it's kind of in the center. Discovery is on the left, Hound is in the middle, and in-car on the right. So if I use the Hound app, if I'm in car mode, I say the word okay and the word Hound. And I would be willing to bet that the word okay and the word Hound probably never come up in a conversation. So I don't think it's really going to come up very often by mistake. But Hound does things that are kind of interesting. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and do it does multiple searches. So I'm going to say, okay, Hound, show hotels in Seattle that are pet friendly, have a gym, and cost less than $275.
Showing 10 results in Seattle for maximum of $275 per night that are pet friendly and have fitness facilities.
So that to me is pretty darn special, but we can approach this a different way. I can say, okay, Hound, show hotels in Seattle that are pet friendly.
Showing 10 results in Seattle that are pet friendly.
Have a gym. Okay, Hound, those that have a gym.
Okay, showing 10 results that have fitness facilities.
Okay, Hound, and cost less than $275.
Okay, showing 10 results for maximum of $275 per night.
So you can do incremental ways to further pare down what's going on that. And I find that pretty amazing. Siri is doing that a little bit more now than it used to. Like, for instance, when I was making those other things, but Siri's interesting, and I'll do that over here. Let's see, I can say it's on the screen. So what is the forecast temperature for tomorrow at 6 p.m.?
Sorry, but I can only check hourly forecasts for the next 24 hours. I can tell you daily forecasts though.
On the other hand, I can use, okay, Hound, what is the forecast for tomorrow at 6 p.m.?
There will be intermittent clouds with a temperature of 68 degrees in Lincoln tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.
Okay, Hound, what's the monthly payment for a $500,000 house with 20% down?
What is the mortgage period?
30 years.
Okay, using a mortgage period of 30 years. What is the interest rate?
2.5%.
Okay, using an interest rate of 2.5%. Your mortgage payment is $1,580.48.
So to me, Hound goes a little deeper in the ability for it to continue to drill down farther and farther as you want. Let me see if that example is here. I can't find it now. There was an example about, well, actually that brings up another thing I'm going to show you on Siri, and we're going to show you on, I'm going to do it on Hound. And by the way, there is a link to Hound. So we'll go back to Siri on my phone. And by the way, a lot of times on Siri, you want to use the phone because it knows your location better than your Mac does. So let's close that for right now so it's not distracting. So I can say, find the best sushi restaurants nearby.
Here's what I found.
So it brings up the best sushi restaurants that are nearby, because I said nearby. Search for the highest rated sushi restaurants nearby.
Okay, here's what I found.
And you'll notice now it has done it by the Yelp 5 stars are the first ones that show up. So the first one was more of the proximity. If I say, find sushi restaurants nearby.
Here's what I found.
So if you see this list, there's a 4-star, then a 5-star, and those are the ones that are closest to me, an eighth of a mile away, 1.8 miles away, 2.1 miles away. So then I can say, find the best sushi restaurants nearby.
Okay, here's what I found.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, so it does it. So it jumped right to, yeah, let's do it again this way. Find sushi restaurants with the best rating nearby.
Here's what I found.
So see, the 5 stars go to the top. So it's different ways of looking at it. And by the way, this is the Apple search, and it uses the Yelp ratings on that. So that's very, very beneficial. And you can do different things like that. You could say, find hotels in South Lake Tahoe.
Okay, here's what I found.
So there's listings of them, and then those are the TripAdvisor or Booking.com ratings and things like that. But I find that Hound can really, really, really search down so much better. Let me look at some other, and again, if there's any questions, you guys, please speak up. Oh, I know, I've got to play a couple videos for you guys. I completely forgot about that. Let's go. Now these videos are all linked, and I will go to that. So let's hide reflector. Yeah. So the one link you'll have in there is the Apple support page on YouTube, and it's fantastic. So you either go to home or go to videos, and it gives you a list of all the videos. But I have a couple on Syria here I want to show you. They're usually, most of these are like 2 minutes long at the most. So
Siri can send messages, place calls, check your calendar, and more. Here's how to use it. To activate Siri, you can press and hold the home button and ask a question. If you're using the iPhone 10, press the side button on the right. What's on my calendar tomorrow?
You have a couple of appointments for tomorrow.
You can talk to Siri hands-free as well. Just say, "Hey Siri," to start a request, like this. "Hey Siri, Remind me to call mom at 6 p.m. today.
Okay, I added call mom to your reminders for today at 6 p.m.
You can also have Siri add to a note. Just say, hey Siri, add book train tickets to my Paris vacation note.
I forgot to mention notes. So for instance, I have a Costco note that I keep in my notes all the time. So as I'm walking around and I realize I need something, I can say to Siri, I can say, add almonds to my Costco note, and it will add it to that note for you. Notes is very interactive in that regard.
Okay, I added book train tickets to your note Paris vacation.
To find out what else Siri can do, just say, hey Siri, what else can I ask you? Want to change Siri's voice or manage other Siri settings?
Hey Siri, what
Just
else
tap
can I ask
settings.
you?
I'm here
Then
to help.
scroll
Get to know
and
Siri.
tap Siri and search.
By the way, that doesn't work either. If you say, what can I ask you? For some reason, Apple's taken that away, because I tried exactly what they said too.
Here you can change Siri's accent and gender. Just tap Siri voice and select from a few options. Now you can use
Keep it
Siri
as
to help
English.
you get things done. For more helpful tips like this, subscribe to the Apple support channel or click a video to keep watching.
So I use this all the time. So if I
Voice
go,
control, you can control your iOS devices.
well, I have
using just your
autoplay
voice,
off.
which is helpful.
Sorry, autoplay is supposed to be off.
Here are some ways to make the most of Siri, whether you're at home or traveling the world. To activate Siri, you can press and hold the home button, or if you're using the iPhone 10, press the side button on the right. You can also just say, hey Siri, to start a request, like this. Hey Siri, what's the weather in Rome, Italy this weekend? The weather forecast in Rome, Italy this weekend will start out with cloudy skies, then rain. Daytime temperatures will have around 56 degrees, with overnight lows between 39 and 44 degrees. If you need a translation, you can say, hey Siri, how do you say sparkling water in Italian? In Italian, sparkling water is acqua gassata. Need help navigating the city or looking for something to do? Siri can help. Hey Siri, when is the nearest museum open? Pantheon on Piazza della Rotonda, Rome is open today from 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And when it's time to pay, you can ask Siri to help you with conversion rates. Just say, hey Siri, how many dollars are in 4 euros? 4 euros is $4.89. Want to know what else you can ask Siri? Just ask, hey Siri, what can I ask you? To see all the ways
That part
Siri
doesn't
can help
work.
you get stuff done. For more helpful tips like this, subscribe to the Apple support channel or
All right, so there's a link. I don't need to go through the rest of these, but they're all up here, and they're on the links that Al will be posting on the thing. There's about 8 or 10 different links. So those are the two main ones. It is very useful, and this is another reason why when you travel, you probably want to have internet connectivity. That's one of the reasons I push T-Mobile and some of the others, is because it really makes a difference if you have connectivity. And Siri does need connectivity for that to happen. But the nice thing is now you can say, translate beer to Spanish.
in Spanish, beer is cerveza.
So that's new, and it does quite a few different languages. Of course, I use the Google Translate app, which I'll tap on really quick here, because it's kind of a dictation thing. So, oh yeah, I was having to do for one of my tenants, Armenian. So we'll do English to, and you can download the languages, by the way. So let's just do it to
French.
Okay, well, I got Dutch. So I can enter text, or I hit the little microphone and say, where is the best beer? And it comes up, and then down there where it says Dutch, I just tap the microphone.
Waar is het beste bier?
So it works if you're doing Japanese, Chinese, and they use the characters, they can write on this and do different things like that. So Google Translate, but Google Translate now has what's called conversational mode. So basically, I go back to Spanish, and so if I press conversation, it'll say, can I get the check, please?
¿Puedo obtener el cheque, por favor?
Uno más beer?
1 + 10.
Oh, yeah. So my Spanish is good. Anyway, you can go back and forth with it and have an active conversation on that. So Google Translate is great. It's free. And again, it's pretty much dictation. So again, I talked about Siri having a bit of an attitude, and I love it. What is 0 divided by 0?
Imagine that you have 0 cookies and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get? See, it doesn't make sense. And Cookie Monster is sad that there are no cookies. And your friends are sad because they don't exist. Oh, wow. This escalated quickly.
Actually, it used to say, and you are sad because you have no friends. So I guess they've gotten a little bit more politically correct with that. So, all right, it is time to ask questions. I will stop sharing the screen, and feel free to raise your hand digitally or unmute yourself. Actually, I see Kathy's got her hand up. Go ahead, Kathy, unmute yourself.
Okay, why would I want to download a whole language? You know, you said in Google Translate, we can download the language.
Good question. So if you, and not every language is available as downloadable, like Armenian wasn't downloadable. If it has the download arrow and you download it, if you have a download arrow, and you can see English is downloaded, of course. If I download any of these others, it's always on my device, and therefore it doesn't use, wow, that's not the screen I'm getting. It doesn't use any of your, oh, and you guys aren't seeing my screen, I'm sorry. It doesn't use your, any of your data, because you're downloading it ahead of time. And then that entire language, whether you're typing it in text or speaking it, is downloaded to your device.
Great. Does that take up a lot of space on my phone?
Not very much at all. And then you can go in and manage those libraries. And actually, a little tip, you can do the exact same thing with Google Maps. You go into Google Maps and you have the option, and you draw a square and you say, okay, download this part, and it stores it in there, and then it expires after a certain amount of time. So it's really, that's very, very, very beneficial. I do the travel presentation, and I've been holding off on it. I love doing the travel presentation, but once the vaccines start hold and we start looking at travel, look for later this summer. I'm gonna do the travel presentation again, and it covers all that. But good question. Perfect. And again, the nice thing is now it's built in. In fact, Siri can let's try this one. Convert $300 US to Canadian dollars.
The answer is 377 Canadian dollars and 25 cents.
So I always had a currency conversion one. Now Siri will do most currency conversions. It'll also do pound and kilograms and all that stuff. A lot of that is there that it wasn't before. So it's very, very powerful. Obviously, you can get sports scores and some of those other things like that. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Barbara Moore, you were next. Go right ahead, unmute yourself.
You said that you like using Siri for reminders. Do you get like a verbal prompt when you set a reminder and it's appropriate for you to be reminded, or how does that work?
So again, think of Siri, just like if I'm having Siri send an email, the email is still the email, and I'm just putting the content of the email in there by voice. And when I send that email, When I receive a new email, I would just get a noise notification that I got an email. Yes, I could ask Siri to read it to me, or I could ask Siri to read me that reminder. But realistically, when the reminder happens, if it's a time-based reminder, it will simply give you whatever notification you normally get with any reminder. It's not like it'll pop up. And that's kind of good because it's not intrusive. Now, an interesting thing with that, with reminders and the way reminder works, if I had said, remind me at 3 p.m. to call Al Trivet, it would pop up with a reminder. And if Al's in my address book, it would pop up and say, remember to call Al Trivet. And then when I tap it, or it may even ask me, do you want to call Al Trivet? I wouldn't automatically do it. I would have to give it my permission, and I would tap on it, and it would then call the person. And again, that's only if they're already in your address book. So maybe you'd have to put Calvin's first and last name. Roy, go ahead. Unmute. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah. Going back to the translate thing, Vicki and I are going to France later this year. So right now when I translate, I'm using the internet. So if I download French language onto my phone, then I can use it on the airplane, or if we're out in the middle of nowhere.
And that was in Google Translate, not Siri's normal translation. Siri's normal translation requires internet connectivity. Google Translate, if you download the French language, it's on your device and it doesn't need an internet connection. Cool. And the same applies to Google Maps. If you go into options and say, download this portion of the map. For instance, I did a oh gosh, year and a half ago, I did a cruise up to Alaska, and I knew I was going to be out of cell range and everything, but I kind of wanted to see where I was in the water. So I downloaded those sections along the way. So therefore, with no internet connection, I was able to see because Maps was utilizing what I downloaded. Same thing with Translate. It's utilizing what you already downloaded. So it's fine. And it's surprising. They take up very little room and you can still use the voice capability.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. And by the way, there's also that I talk in the travel thing. There's a city maps to go where you can download maps of cities. But the nice thing with the Google map, it gives you a square where you download, and it will go down to the level and even show you the restaurants that you would normally see without an internet connection. But these days, I just think it's difficult to travel without an internet connection. Most of the newer phones, ever since the iPhone 10, you're able to put in the higher end, the Pros, the 11s, the 10s, the 12s, you're able to put a dual SIM in there. So you could keep your regular SIM and you can put another SIM in there if you're over there and you want Vodafone or O2 or anything like that. Go ahead. You have a follow-up on that, Roy. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, so how do I download the language onto my phone?
You go to the Google Translate app.
Yeah, I got it.
And then it'll say English to something. Tap on the other language.
Right.
And you see the pull down. And when you see the pull down, if the language is downloadable, it has a little download arrow. You tap that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Good question. All right. Do we have any questions in the chat? There's a lot to go through. I haven't been keeping up to it. How to use reminders. That's perfect, Al. You know what? Al put on there. You can also use Apple Maps to download offline maps. That's been available for the last couple of years. I generally use Google Maps, but there he does have it, how to do it on Apple Maps. The Siri user guides are up there. iOS 14, that was the newest translation. By the way, if you're traveling with an iPad, see, most people that have iPads have an iPhone. Your iPhone has GPS, and that's really important. The only iPads that have GPS are those that are cellular iPads. They don't have to be connected to cellular, but it's the same chip. It's $100 to $130 more to have an iPad that has a GPS chip in it. I'm sorry, a cellular chip, and those do come with GPS. Otherwise, the iPad is not at all good for GPS. So, Bev, go right ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
There we go. I'm looking at the Google Translate, and where is the download key?
If you're in Google Translate,
Yeah.
well, here, let me put it up on my screen
Yeah,
here.
and I had it in Swedish, but I switched to Spanish and.
Hang on one sec. Okay, so if I go to Google Translate, if I'm in this, well, if I tap, oh, see, that's weird. It doesn't. Oh, it's just, you're seeing on a screen that I don't see. So hang on here. Why is this? I'm going to quit it. There we go. Great. So where it says Spanish, I tap on Spanish and I get the list of languages.
Right.
And then I see the download arrow. So I tap that.
Wait, back again. Where's the download arrow?
Hang on. It fails on the screen here. When you tap Spanish, do you see a list of languages like on my screen?
Yes, but I don't have the download on mine. I have a little check with a line under it.
On what language?
Spanish.
That means it's already downloaded. So go.
Okay. All right.
So do you see others that have a download arrow?
Yes, I've done German, Swedish, and Spanish. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why. And I see the Dutch that has the download key. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Okay.
Fabulous.
All right. Any other questions? This is the time. Please ask. Let's see here. Okay. No other, you guys, if you can't figure out how to, oh, hang on, Bert.
Hi there.
How do you install dual SIM card? Well, actually on the iPhone, one is a virtual SIM and one is a real SIM. And there is in the Apple support, there's a one for that. Just do a YouTube search. Well, actually, you could just do a search for Apple iPhone dual SIM and it walks you through it. You will have to work with your carrier to get them to put your regular, instead of having a pull in, pull out SIM, they'll activate the virtual SIM, which is built, and then it's built into your phone. And then you can put other SIMs in there. Those of you that are on T-Mobile, you don't have to worry about other SIMs because your T-Mobile works in 210 or more countries. So.
And Ken, is T-Mobile also now the same as Sprint?
Sprint is now the same as T-Mobile, which is probably better because Sprint's coverage sucked. But yeah, the merger isn't completely done. Al, for some reason that didn't become a link. But it essentially is. And then if so, and T-Mobile has some different plans and they've been changing them around. So you do want to verify that they do have the international available on the plan you're looking at.
I'm on my son's plan, so he gets all the paperwork and the bill. So I'll just.
And he's on T-Mobile?
Yes.
Yeah, you should be fine.
So that means if I eventually travel overseas, I'm automatically using that SIM card?
Yeah, and the best thing you can do is you can call 611 from your phone, and that way you can ask customer service about that. But generally speaking, it's a little slower, but it is in 210 countries and plus, and you get slower internet, you get free text, and then if you're at the hotel and using Wi-Fi calling in the hotel, it should be no charge, but I know that there are some other situations where it might be. Ironically, and I love T-Mobile, so I'm up in Yellowstone and I'm roaming for some reason, and I get this message saying, you have used up your 200 megabytes, not gigabytes, because I get like unlimited data, but it says you've used your 200 megabytes of roaming. Well, in these days, 200 megabytes is like 10 minutes on a phone. And so I had to disable a whole bunch of stuff and I made it through. They graced me out a whole nother 200 megabytes for no charge. But it was because I was roaming on a carrier that isn't theirs. On the other hand, once I left the park and was in Gardner, Montana, and in Cook City, it was fine, but it just happened to be just right in the park. The carrier that they roam with had limitations on the T-Mobile one. So it was a bit of a surprise, and most of the time I couldn't connect anyway because it's real limited coverage up there. So any other questions? This is the time. If not, we can be done early and enjoy this nice spring weather. The wind has died a bit. So anything else? This is the time to ask. Again, you can go to chat, and when you go to chat, you can, in the lower right, you can hit the file or the 3 dots and download this, but Al will be saving all the links that are in chat
Ken, you just froze.
I just froze.
You just froze. I can't hear you.
You shut it down.
Can you hear me?
Now
I hear you. She's got a problem with her Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you might have been your internet on that. So, well, anyway, and this is also being recorded, so you can always go back and see what profound statements I said when I was frozen. Probably not much. So,
they're always profound. It's always wonderful to learn something new that we never knew before or even knew how to ask.
Yeah, thank you.
Ken.
Bonnie's got a question. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for all the excellent information. Could you just do a really quick review of how I save this? What is it? I can't remember what we do to save.
I'll put a link on there in saving chat, but if you open it, are you on a Mac or an iPad?
Yeah. And I open chat. Yeah.
You open chat. In the lower right, you see file.
Right.
Or you can click on the ellipsis and say save chat.
Oh, okay.
And then it saves, and then you'll use that little link that Al put there because it shows you, it probably puts it into a Zoom folder, and it's simply a text document, but all the links are clickable. And it will go out in the email that Bob sends out later, because Al puts that together, gets Bob the PDF, and you'll have a link to that too.
Okay, so, but I can go ahead and click the ellipsis once we're done then.
Yeah, you can do it now because unless you'd only miss any other links we put in, but yeah, I think we're pretty much done with that. So
thank you so much.
And it's very handy. And I got to tell you, as things go forward, we have our board meeting today, and we're trying to look at how we're going to go forward and things. But I actually think when we do in-person meetings, I think we're still going to do Zoom as a hybrid because it's so convenient, it's recorded and everything. So Zoom is really the new paradigm. And frankly, I think it's made pathways for us to do things. For instance, tech support. I have not had to go out. I have not gone to any clients in the last year. I do everything remotely, including getting into their computer with them there and manipulating and working on the computer. And I can view the iPad and the iPhone. So it's fantastic because for me, once COVID's over, that means I can do that from anywhere in the world. So Roy, you have a question, go right ahead.
Yeah, just a comment on the saving the chat list. You can do it various times during the meeting. What it does, it updates it. It overwrites what you saved before. So it works great because one time I was too late in trying to save it and the meeting ended. So now I do it about 3 times during the meeting just to make sure I've saved. But it overrides. I don't lose anything.
And I think if you come to the meeting late, the chat only starts from when you got there.
I believe so.
But Al will have the whole thing. And so the one that you'll get has everything on it. And I made sure I got him the links today because he does such a great job on it. But I had so many links because there's a few of those videos I didn't play because there was no sense. You guys can go through and play them yourselves. So
yeah, one time when I was having computer troubles, I had to end it, come back in, and I didn't have those previous ones.
Yeah.
So that's why now I'll do it about 3 times, about every hour, just to be safe.
Every hour.
And again, it's great that Al does that because he's got it all.
Thank you, Al.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Al. And I think just for the board, I think it's a great idea to change the paradigm. It's for all the reasons you mentioned, not the least of which is that I can be here in my jammies.
Yeah, but we do realize that, for instance, the general meeting is very much a social experience too. So
Sure.
we
Sure.
recognize that, and we're looking into it. And ironically, the Sacramento Association of Realtors during COVID, even before COVID started, we were going to not be able to meet there for about a year because they're rebuilding that entire auditorium. So that part of it worked out pretty well. And we're looking at other venues because we don't know when it's going to open. We may decide to do it at St. Mark's in the room, because our meeting size before COVID had been dropping too. And it's because, like with our audience, our demographics, we are losing members and people are getting where they can't drive and things like that. So I had already embarked on trying to get us to record the meetings, and it was problematic. Well, now with Zoom, it makes it very easy to record the meetings. So it's good that it happened in one regard only.
It's wonderful for me in Alabama.
There you go.
All right.
Anywhere on the planet you got an internet connection, you're good.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks
So,
again.
go ahead.
Just say thank you again.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. I enjoy it. And feel free, if you guys, I'll stick around for a minute, but that pretty much does it. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and speak up.
I have a question for you, but we can take it offline here, Ken, about your Synology hard drive and saving all your RAWs.
Yeah, Synology, it doesn't allow you to keep your photos library in it and work it. There's something Apple, so I'm keeping my photos on an external SSD with USB-C on it, because you can't get photos library on a network drive. It's some weird permissions issue and all that.
That's
I know and I guess you used to be able to, and I got it because I thought that's what they're going to use it for. And it just looks like it's problematic. And you guys can ask questions about this if you want, because this is pretty geeky. So, yeah,
oh, that's a drag. I've seen some of those 5.4, 5-bay, multiple bay Synology.
Well, I bought a 2-bay one. There was a great deal. I got it. It's great for everything else. And that way I can have, different computers hooked to it. It's a network attached storage, but it will not work for a photos library.
That's bunk.
I agree.
Yeah. But I know you can have, like, if you want to store movies and things of that nature, you can have a Plex library or whatever, and it'll give you a little bit different interface and stuff.
It has its own interface for that. Now I could store photos because it does have.
Yeah.
If I decided not to use the actual photos library, I could do that, and that's no problem. But that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah,
So
you lose all the benefits of being in the Apple ecosystem, and all the technology.
And yeah, so I guess it's pony up to the plate and use iCloud library. I mean, it's again.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I can see it from a technical issue why they don't allow it, and I've talked to a couple of the guys here really, really know that stuff. One was his badge number was in the low 100 or in the low 200s at Apple, and they say no, it doesn't. And it used to, but I don't know if it's a security or just a file issue, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah, and there are kludgy ways to get around it, but then that scares me. So.
Ken, you were going to talk about iCloud settings. Are you going to do that next time, maybe?
Oh, yeah, because it does take a little bit of time. I had it when I do my contacts, but yeah, if you guys, in fact, it would be better off, because we're down to so few people now and it's important. if you're at the next meeting, remind me and I'll do it. It's a quick little keynote and I have people walk through it, but we kind of don't have time today and we probably missed quite a few that would be, but yeah, please don't hesitate to ask me next time.
Okay, great.
Great.
Thanks for everything you did give us
Thank
today.
you.
Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Barbara. And I'm sorry, Donna, we overtalked you.
Just one thing, basic. Where do I find my activity monitor?
So it's inside your applications folder, there's a utility folder, or I simply go up to the magnifying glass in the upper right corner, tap on that and start typing activity and then it comes up.
Thank you so much.
Royce, do you have a question there? And then Bert, you're next.
Okay, I just want to thank you about telling me about the selfie, because now I learned how to do a selfie through my watch from a distance away.
Perfect.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, I saw Al when you did that. I saw Al put those links in there. So that's great. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the watch. Yeah, that's great on the watch. So.
And it even shows up on your watch what picture you're taking.
So a little trick I do when I travel, I can remember I was down in Peru and in the Catholic churches, they don't want you to take photos because they want to sell you postcards. And I'm okay with that. But so I have a special shirt I can wear that a shirt pocket, I turn my phone around and stick it in my shirt pocket and the camera is exposed. So then I go to my watch and I can actuate the camera. Well, I got busted twice. So one was the security guy comes along and he sees, because your watch shows you a preview of what the thing is showing. So he points to my watch and says, okay. And they were cool. I just said, okay. And the other one was, I was in this underground, God, this was in, I think it was in Vietnam. I'm in this underground thing that's all real dark. So we get our eyes all done. And I had it on the watch and it was taking a long photo. Well, unfortunately it switched to video and turned on the light. And so I was like busted. Everything's pitch black out and my pocket is shining white light out of it. So anyway, but that's just a little tip. Not that I would encourage anyone to do it. So Bert, go ahead.
I can. I'm almost embarrassed to ask it, but I'm going to ask this. Best way to learn, every time I save a chat, it goes into a folder. Then I click on the Find folder and it shows it on my computer screen. I just took a picture of it today. So am I having multiple folders for each Mac class?
Well, it's usually in a Zoom folder, it should make, but Al provided a link on how to see that. So if you look back in the chat, you can see it, but don't take a picture of the text. You want to actually open that document because all of those links are then clickable. Otherwise you have to type in that link every time. And we know that is wrought with failure because you mistype one letter and it doesn't know what you meant.
Right. I just clicked on, as soon as the chat was saved, very quickly it says show in folder, and I clicked on that.
Show in Finder, it says, right?
Finder,
or show in folder?
I'm sorry. So it's in Finder. So the way to find that then is to look at the magnifier search bar and.
No, it'll find it there. But otherwise, if you click on your Finder logo, a lot of times you have a category on the left that says recents.
Okay.
And otherwise do a search in your Finder for Zoom and it'll be in a Zoom folder.
Thank you. I just need to organize it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it just kind of throws it. You can go into your Zoom settings and do it, but it's just better off. Once you kind of find where they are, then they're going to be there by each time.
Okay, but they won't be on the desktop.
Not unless you have configured Zoom to do that, and that's highly unlikely.
For me, it is. Okay. Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too.
Anybody else? Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Easter. This was great, right? Between Good Friday and Easter. So enjoy the nice weather. Talk to you later, everyone. Thanks, Al.
Bye, buddy.
Very much. See you at the meeting.